So there's been a lot of news coming out of Hong Kong lately. You might have heard of the Epoch Times newspaper. In Hong Kong, it's one of the few pro-democracy newspapers left after Beijing passed the national security law, which threatens press freedom. Last week, a reporter for the Epoch Times was attacked on the street in broad daylight. People in cars parked outside her apartment had been watching her for weeks. She believes those people and the thug who beat her up last week are connected to the Chinese Communist Party. She joins us today to briefly talk about what happened. Sarah Leong is the vice chief editor for the Epoch Times in Hong Kong. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Well, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear about the attack you suffered. So tell us what happened on the day the thug beat you up with a bat.
It's 11:30. It's a sunny day, and a lot of people around. It's near to Hong Kong's Open University. It's not so quiet place. Somebody held a long stick, and he just he didn't anything. I don't know the person. He's strange to me, and he just hit my legs very brutally.
Ah, geez. And so what's been the reaction from the Hong Kong people to all of this?
It shocked the whole Hong Kong society because, the reporter has been assaulted. This is a big news. So a lot of reporter go to the hospital and interview me. They ask me whether what's my feeling. I just tell them I won't be silent. That's all.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I think because I'm a Epoch Times reporter and I go very front line and still interview a lot of important person in Hong Kong. I have the YouTube channel that's quite popular in Hong Kong, and maybe they feel nervous about that. And Epoch Times is quite, how to say, they tell the truth.
Well, it's critical of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah. And the Chinese Communist Party, they don't want the people to know the truth.
Wow, well, keep up the great work. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's pretty intense. I mean, it makes me feel like I'm not that courageous.
You know, on this show and China Uncensored, we've been standing up to the Chinese Communist Party for like 10 years. Gotta say, though, if somebody looks at me a little crookedly, I'm done.
Like you run away.
I'm done with the show.
Oh, you're done with the show. I was like, what?
No.
So what you're saying is we're not going to go back to Hong Kong.
I'm easily intimidated.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say it's kind of crazy that the fact that, like, she talks about, being followed, or like I've seen her talk about times about being followed or being spied on,
Mm-hmm.
and just it's crazy to think that, oh, well, that's just kind of like what it is like now to be a journalist.
That's
in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that guy, Simon Chen, who was working for the British consulate.
Oh, yeah.
And then he got kidnapped when he was in Shenzhen in mainland China.
Yeah.
And charged with like prostitution.
And tortured.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you mean like charged with like
with like
soliciting or something. Right. And when he came back to Hong Kong, like he was like saying he was like constantly being watched by people. This is before the national security law.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's terrifying. They've got so many resources, the Communist Party resources, to like monitor people. It's just like, and that's just the part you see. There's also just the mass surveillance through cameras that we're not seeing.
I'm like, depending on what happens to Hong Kong, I think that they could kind of bring that type of Xinjiang like security state thing in.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Where there's just like a massive police presence. And
there is a type of cultural genocide the Communist Party has been waging on Hong Kong for a long time, like trying to eliminate Cantonese as a language. And I'm sure there'll be other efforts to kind of eradicate any unique culture of Hong Kong.
Well, like that National Security Day thing that in schools, right?
National Security Education Day,
Yeah.
where they give children, like, they can play with the guns and the grenade launchers, and so fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really, I can't imagine what it's like to be there right now. you're in a place where you're right on the border with mainland China, but
Yeah.
it's always been,
On the other side, that's East Berlin.
yeah, exactly. And now it's kind of like,
East Berlin's coming to you. It's basically like you're in the mouth of the dragon.
Except now the dragon has shut its mouth and is chewing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But can the dragon crush the spirits of the people of Hong Kong? And if Sarah Leong is any indication, no.
I couldn't believe that her first reaction to like, somebody has just hit me with a baseball bat 10 times. I can't wait to report on this. Let me report on this. Like that's...
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the spirit of Hong Kongers. Like they just want to like let the world know how evil the CCP is. And they make enormous sacrifices in order to do that, even at their own, great expense.
Well, except for all the Hong Kongers who are Quislings.
There are many of those too.
well, I think there are always going to be the people who say things like, well, we need stability. Like, we need safety.
The stability that comes with having thugs beating people up with baseball bats.
But, that's only because they were, troublemakers.
They were troublemakers.
If you didn't do anything wrong, like if you didn't report on things the Communist Party didn't like, then, hey, you wouldn't be a target.
Yeah. I wonder how much of a follow-up the Hong Kong police will give to this.
Yeah, probably as much of a follow-up as they gave to, remember,
The white shirts?
The white shirt guys beating up protesters? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they followed up by arresting the lady who made a documentary about how the police weren't there.
Yeah, I see not good things happening for press freedom in Hong Kong.
Yeah. The police follow-up might just be a follow-through with a baseball bat.
Well, I mean, not baseball bats, but the Epic Times, their printing shop was, like, these guys went through with sledgehammers a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, they've been targeted viciously on multiple occasions.
There was, I remember also last year or 2019, there was a fire incident too, where people tried to set it on fire.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say that there's a lot of, unhappiness with them from whoever it is.
When people feel threatened, they lash out.
That's true. It's been great to see that, like Antony Blinken and U.S. lawmakers have actually specifically talked about what happened to Sarah and have been condemning it.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad to see the international community, speaking out on Hong Kong in a way that I think a few years ago I wouldn't have imagined likely, just because the willingness to speak out about Hong Kong issues is something that really reaches across political divides and reaches across international borders, reaches across professions, although not really the NBA. But other than that, it's been, I think, pretty good. But that hasn't stopped the dragon from chewing on the people of Hong Kong.
The metaphors are thick today.